Spirit. The devil we are talking about, where was it mentioned? Is it not the same Bible? Was the devil mentioned outside the Bible? When you read, don't you read that the God said that the devil appeared in the midst of God's children when God was meeting angels and said, I want to go and torment Job.
Anyway,
do they understand?
Yeah, I mean,
the Bible?
we'll get into this at the top story. So I'm sure we'll come back and continue this discussion. Thank you so much, Mr. Dako and Mr. Youngson, for coming through for the news headlines. We'll be coming back with the sports news right after this.
Not in the best of shapes. If we compare the performance.
Here's Mensah, this is positive. Williams, Kudos! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudos, but Pavana from Guyana.
All right, so now let's get straight into our first story. We start off with the Anas investigative journalist story. He has denied any involvement in demanding $150,000 and refunding $100,000 to Kwesi Nyantakyi in an alleged attempt to kill off the number 12 documentary. The June 2018 feature report shed light on corruption in Ghana football and captured several leading football figures, including former GFA president Kwesi Nyantakyi, playing a key role in suspicious football-related moves. In an interview on Onuya TV, Nyantakyi alleged that NAS, through his lawyers, demanded for $150,000 to shelf the documentary, but the veteran football administrator paid $100,000, which proved inadequate as the documentary got aired. Nyantakyi went on to state that the money was refunded, but in trenches, prompting a NAS and private investigation agency Tiger IPI to release a statement that flat out denied allegations made by Nyantakyi. All right, so moving on, as on a rejoinder to that one, still on Kwesi Nyantakyi, he has bemoaned the dwindling fortunes of the football in the country since 2019. The Black Stars have suffered early exits in major competitions. In January this year, the Black Stars were eliminated after yet another winless campaign at the Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire.
Ghana football now is not in the best of shapes. If we compare the performances of the Black Stars over the period, from 2008 up to this time, if we were to draw a graph, a straight line graph, there will be a straight line like this because of the semi-finals for a long time. And then the first round exits will bring it down like this. But there are other new initiatives that GFA has introduced in, let's say, women's football, in youth football, that we have to applaud them. But the ultimate, most people are judged by the performance of the senior team. The senior team is not in a good shape. And we have to appreciate that and find ways to really address it.
All right, so that was Kwesi Nyantichi, the former GFA president. And also to our final story on the local front, the president of Ghana Athletics, Bawa Fuseni, has stressed the need for the tartan tracks at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium to be watered at least 3 times a week post-African Games. The maintenance of these facilities used to host the games has become an issue of concern because of Ghana's poor history when it comes to maintaining facilities. Bawa Fuseni said watering the tracks will ensure the Mondo certified tracks last beyond the 10 years and keep them in shape for elite competitions. All right, so transitioning to the international front, lots of stories making the rounds. First one has to do with Tottenham Hotspur. Will move straight into their camp, and goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario felt that his side were a little tired to get the win against West Ham United as they missed the chance to move into the Premier League top 4. Brennan Johnson's tapping put them ahead after 5 minutes, but they were pegged back when Kurt Zuma headed home from a corner.
I think it's a fair result what we showed on the pitch, but I think we had a lack of belief in winning the game today for many reasons, maybe a little bit of tiredness at the end, but I think we have to believe that we can win every game, and today I think was a good opportunity to win this game. I don't know, I'm not sports science, so I can't answer this, but I don't know, we recover and go again. We have a big game on Sunday, so ready to that. I think we just have to face on the next game and try to win against Forest.
All right, so that was Spurs goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario speaking to the media after the game. Moving on to our next story, we go to the city of Manchester, where Manchester United's defenders Lisandro Martinez and Victor Lindelof have both picked up muscle injuries and will be ruled out for at least a month. Martinez has sustained a calf strain in training, having only returned from a 7-week absence with a knee injury in Saturday's 1-0 draw at Brentford. Lindelof suffered a hamstring injury in the game and was replaced by Martinez. Eric Ten Hag's side are already without left backs Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia through injury. All right, so this is Zed Sports on Z101.9. Moving on to our next story, Pep Guardiola hit back at criticism of his treatment of Jack Grealish by sarcastically saying, "I do it for the cameras." The Manchester City manager has faced criticism of his habit of confronting players on the pitch after games rather than in the dressing room, and asked about his interaction with Grealish. Guardiola simply dragged it off.
No, I'm the famous person of the team. And I don't recognize, and I need the cameras to my ego go to sleep with incredible satisfaction. So that is the reason why. So always I try to criticize the players there and let them feel that how bad they are, and especially when Erling scores 3 goals, the compliments has to be with me, not with them. That's why I use the cameras to do it there. So my advice next time, don't film us, it will not be a problem.
All right, very sarcastic comments coming from the Manchester City gaffer Pep Guardiola. And into a final story here on Z Sports. Mikel Arteta says Arsenal may need to leave their ego aside to win the Premier League title, occupying second place and 2 points behind leaders Liverpool. The Gunners host Luton Town at the Emirates Stadium later tonight before traveling to Brighton this weekend, the first in a series of tricky away games and a run-in that includes Wolverhampton Wanderers, Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester United.
You have to, sometimes because you want to adapt, sometimes because you have to adapt, and you have to have that resilient and leave your ego aside and your ideology aside, and do what you have to do to win the game. And I thought the team was mentally really strong and really clever the way they did it. Because you prepare the game to win it, and when you feel that you have what it takes to go there and win, and you want to do it, and you're not satisfied. But at the same time, you have to understand how you're growing as a team, and be smart enough as well in certain moments to accept something else.
All right, so that was Mikel Arteta, the manager of Arsenal, speaking on the running towards the title. And on that note, we bring Zed Sports, the curtains of Zed Sports, down this morning. In the afternoon, however, on the drive, my colleague Gattuso to the Power 7 will be right here to give you all the latest updates on all the games that went on yesterday night. My name is Niakwe, the sportscaster, and do continue to follow us on all our social media pages, Zed Fm GH on Instagram, Facebook, and also on YouTube. We are also on X, formerly Twitter, Zed Fm GH, and TikTok as well. If you want to log into our website, www.zmultimedia.com is the site to be. I will be with you tomorrow for another explosive edition of Zed Sports. Until then, remember, Niakwe the sportscaster is the name, and the message remains the same. Do not count the days, make the days count.
Here's Mensa, this is positive. Williams, Kudos! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudos, Mapuana from Guyana.
Zed 101.9 FM.
It is time for the business news segment of Zed in the morning. I am Saka Abdullahi. Coming up, IMF commences second review for third tranche disbursement. AFTA is set to host Kenyan President Ruto in trade deliberations, and on the international front, Tesla records fewest deliveries since 2022. Now the news in detail. Staff of the International Monetary Fund are in Ghana to conduct the second review of the 3-year, $3 billion IMF-backed program for the economic growth post-COVID-19. The evaluation comes after the successful completion of the initial review in January. A team from the International Monetary Fund arrived in Ghana over the weekend to initiate the assessment of the nation's progress in meeting the program's objectives. The current assessment is scheduled to last for the next 2 weeks. During the period, Ghana's adherence to the program's targets will be closely scrutinized, focusing on areas such as economic recovery, fiscal management, and structural reforms. The outcome of this review carries significant implications for Ghana's economic path and its relationship with international financial institutions. The government is optimistic about passing this IMF program review, aiming to meet all the structural benchmarks to access the third tranche of IMF funding totaling $360 million by the end of June. This assessment marks the second review of the IMF program since its inception, and it is the first of the 2 reviews expected this year. Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison at the last Monetary Policy Committee press briefing said the second review, which is key to another disbursement from the IMF, will include monetary policy performance, fiscal performance, inflation, reserve accumulation, and some structural benchmarks. Ghana, once one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, has faced severe economic crisis over recent years, marked by high fiscal deficits, escalating public debts, exchange rate fluctuations, high inflation, and high cost of living. On to some continental news, later this afternoon, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat will host Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, at the AFTA office in Accra. The welcome ceremony is being hosted by the AFTA Secretariat in honor of President Ruto, who is on a state visit to Ghana. As one of the 7 pioneering countries of the AFTA Guided Trade Initiative, Kenya has undertaken steps in enhancing its policy framework and business-friendly environment to foster investment in the country, but also to expand in the continent. In launching an AFTA Trade and Development Center last year, Kenya demonstrated its commitment to support the successful implementation of AFTA under the leadership of President Ruto. In the recent Kakamega International Investment Conference held in Nairobi in March, the president renewed his commitment in the presence of Mr. Wankele Mene, Secretary General of AFTA Secretariat, to support him and the Secretariat in achieving the mandate of establishing a single African market, namely through his role as African Union champion for international reform by focusing his efforts on making Africa a destination for investment and business. The visit of the Kenyan leader to the Secretariat is set to serve as an opportunity for Mr. Mene to brief him on the progress of the implementation of AFTA and explore further opportunities. In financial news, the equities market in Ghana began the week with a positive trajectory, showing signs of growth and stability. However, the Ghanaian cedi experienced depreciation against the US dollar, a trend that has been observed recently in the global currency market. On the international front, the US dollar saw gains against both the euro and the pound sterling, indicating a strengthening of the dollar compared to these major currencies. Tessa Capital brings you a comprehensive review of the performance of the Ghanaian financial markets. Sorry for that technical hitch. Moving on to an international story. Deliveries from Elon Musk's Tesla have slid sharply in the first 3 months of the year as the EV company grappled with a fire at its European factory, global shipping disruption, and other challenges. The company handed over just under 387,000 electric vehicles to customers, the smallest quarterly figure in more than a year. That was down more than 8% year-on-year and far fewer than analysts expected, and shares fell more than 4% on the news. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives describes the update as unmitigated disaster that is a hard way to explain away. Tesla shares had already dropped over the last year, reflecting the challenges as high interest rates makes its cars less affordable and rivals ramp up their electric vehicle offerings. The firm has cut prices repeatedly in response. But the demand in key markets such as China has weakened nonetheless as companies such as BYD make gains. Tesla's problems worsened in the first 3 months of this year. Houthi attacks in the Red Sea caused supply disruptions, which temporarily shut its factory in Germany, which was later hit by an alleged arson attack. Mr. Ives said the figures suggested that the first quarter had been a train wreck into a brick wall for the company, raising the pressure for Mr. Musk. This is a fork in the road time to get Tesla through this turbulent period, otherwise troubling days could be ahead, he said. The company said production in the first quarter fell about 1.6% year-on-year, from 439,000 cars in 2023 to 433,000 during the same period this year. But deliveries were more significantly affected, dropping more than 8% year-on-year. That marked the first annual fall for any quarter since 2022. Deliveries were down 20% compared with the final quarter of 2023, and the drop comes as far as companies across the industry have been scaling back their electric car ambitions, warning of a weaker than expected demand. However, most forecasters still expect EVs to grow significantly this year. Tesla has also faced company-specific problems. Its driverless car software, which it has claimed will unleash a new wave of growth, has also been under scrutiny, while safety officials have been probing the firm's power steering and other areas. Let's take the Tesla Capital story again. In the financial news, the equities market in Ghana began the week with a positive trajectory, showing signs of growth and stability. However, the Ghanaian cedi experienced depreciation against the US dollar, a trend that has been observed recently in the global currency market. On the international front, the US dollar saw gains against both the euro and the pound sterling, indicating a strengthening of the dollar compared to these major currencies. Tesla Capital brings you a comprehensive review of the performance of the Ghanaian financial markets.
Good morning and welcome to a recap of the markets brought to you by Tessa Capital Limited. The Ghanaian equity market kicked off the week with a positive trajectory. The composite index saw an increase of 5.61 points, closing at 3,461.81 points, marking a 0.61% rise compared to the previous session. Similarly, the financial stock index experienced a notable improvement, climbing by 10.58 points with a 0.53% uptick to conclude the day at 2,012.05 points. This surge can be attributed to the notable gains observed in financial stocks GCB and SIC. Among the stocks, GCB and SIC emerged as the top performers, surging by 7.87% and 4.17% respectively to 3 cedis 70 pesos for GCB and 25 pesos per share for SIC. However, CAL, another financial stock, witnessed a decline of 4.76%, closing at 40 pesos per share. The overall market capitalization experienced a marginal increase of 0.13%, reaching 77.8 billion Ghana cedis by the session's end. Despite the positive momentum, trading activity saw a significant decline, with volumes traded plummeting by 54.40%. A total of 122,471 shares exchanged hands, amounting to a total value of 197,557.30 by the close of the session. In the opening trading session, the Ghanaian cedi demonstrated resilience against 2 out of the 3 major currencies, marking a modest appreciation of 0.21% and 0.04% relative to the pound and the euro respectively. Conversely, it experienced a slight depreciation of 0.23% against the US dollar compared to the previous session. According to the mid-rates disclosed by the Bank of Ghana, the cedi concluded the trading day at 12 cedis 90 pesos against the US dollar, 16 cedis 22 pesos against the British pound, and 13 cedis and 89 pesos against the euro, reflecting the prevailing exchange rates at the session's close. This brings our review to an end. From all of us at Tessa Capital, make it a great day. Tessa Capital, grow your wealth.
That market update was brought to you by Tessa Capital, providing a comprehensive review of the performance of the Ghanaian financial market. That is all time will permit for the business news segment. Before I leave, a recap of our major stories. IMF commences second review for the third tranche disbursement after I set to host Kenyan President Ruto in trade deliberations. And on the international front, Tesla records fewest deliveries since 2022. I am Saka Abdullahi. Jerry Ham continues with the show.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business.
Year stroke 16-year young lady to the 63-year-old man. But you see, before we get there, listeners, I have to say this, and I say this with it's not anger, it's more like frustration. Accra is dark, people. Accra is too dark. For some reason today I drove earlier than I normally would have, and it was scary driving through the rain. Accra is dark. Charlie, people, it was scary for me today because I got all through to. So I'm coming from Dansoman. I'm using Sakaman. I'm using N1 Kwashiman dark, N1 dark all through to dark. It's Legon dark. Accra more, everywhere dark. I don't know. I mean, listen, before we do top story, we will do top story, but before we do top story, Accra is dark. Something must be done about the street lights thing in Accra. Something seriously must be done. I would like Saka, why you back? Accra is dark for you too.
See, Accra is the driving in Accra. I saw a meme that said that in Ghana is the moon that we used to drive. The day the moon doesn't show up.
You know, I've been driving into the studio from day one. Today was the scariest for me, especially. So my scariest was from La Paz coming through to Abofu before you would get actually overhead, like we call it. But the place was so dark, I had to slow.
It's unbelievable.
So you know, from the Achimota overhead all through to Jowulu traffic light, which we used to call in our days Dimples traffic light. Now it's Jowulu Fiesta Royal. I then had to use the light of the car in the backlight just to be sure that I was in the right lane.
Is that
Charlie,
bad?
Accra is
that bad?
dark.
And something must be
The
done
street
about
light
the street
thing,
light.
it's crazy.
What
man.
is the issue? You see, we need to look into this matter. Is it
poor quality street lights that gets I don't know, man.
Do we not have maintenance schedules for these street lights? Is it a money issue?
When you drove into East Legon, your source of light then will be the shops. And the offices. Their lights coming on the road. But Charlie, man, today, guys, man, I don't know, but something must be done. The officials must do something about it. I don't know. If you ask me now, what is it? Repair all the street lights. Repair them. If they are not there, fix them.
I mean, a country that can spend $500,000 on basketball kits should be able to fix street lights.
Charlie.
Should be able to.
This will be funny again. I mean, it's no more funny. It's I don't know, because it is looking like the safety and well-being of citizens is not being seen seriously.
True.
The malfunctioning street lights is the clearest proof. And you know, funny enough, listeners, this is what happened to me. Some 2-3 years ago, I think like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I wrote a biography of a man who since then has passed away, one of the great industrialists of this country. But he was not Ghanaian born, so he came into Ghana sometime in 1954. Came to Ghana in 1954. And one of the questions I asked him during the interviewing him and all that, the conversations we had prior to writing his was, what were your first impressions of Ghana? Because don't forget, coming from his country, he said it had taken them about a week. Because those days they would fly, they would stop, sleep over, fly. They were coming, from Asia all through to Ghana, slept in Ethiopia, then come sleep. Now I asked him, I said, sir, could you recall that night you landed in Ghana? What were your first impressions? He said his uncle met him at the airport. And then they drove him all through to Accra Central, where the shop was. He was going to live above the shops, Kanshin. He said, Jerry, my first impressions in 1954 when I landed in Ghana was that this country was dark. He said from the airport to Accra Central, there were no street lights and the place was dark. And he said, for the first time, I got scared. Because this is a 19-year-old boy who has left his country to come start life outside his country. He said, and this is in 1954. He said Ghana was dark. This is 3rd April, Wednesday, 3rd April 2024. I'm saying Ghana is dark.
Still dark.
What be this, Seth? Charlie, it's all right. It's all right. Before I'm accused of you. No, but it's serious. Look through town. Dankwa Circle, Awudo Cemetery, Aboso Kain, everywhere.
I cannot say there's a single well-lit highway or major street in this Accra. There is not a single one. If there is not a single one, even the Accra Mall area, you'd expect.
I said Accra Mall dark today.
Dark everywhere, dark.
Anyway, maybe it will be my top story for tomorrow. But today we're talking marriage to. If all of a sudden the marriage is no more a big deal for me, then I almost got into trouble on the highways today. Yes, but it's true. I mean, the public outrage is still there. But for me, it tells of a bigger challenge as Ghanaians, and the challenge of the culture of this country amidst the modernity and all that. The supposed marriage of a 63-year-old priest to an alleged 12-year-old girl, Numo Bokiti Lawechuru. Marrying this girl in a ceremony in Ungwa, and CSOs are up in arms condemning the act. Police should go arrest the man, and police says they've launched investigations into an alleged crime. Really, was there a crime? Has there been a crime, or is it just the framing and all that? Meanwhile, local community leaders have mounted a stern defense, saying critics don't understand their customs and traditions. They also say the girl is 16 years and not 12, and a new twist has. I mean, for us, this morning we want to delve into the story once and for all, and be done with this very story, sticking too much of the nation's headlines when all that could have been done was for someone should have sat and asked, what is this whole thing about? This morning's top story, we will delve into this story, and then we would also be answering some of the emerging questions concerning that. We'll be coming to some of the people in the studio. We'll be talking to even our colleagues here, those who understand what really went on and all that. But yesterday, we were also told of the Nungwa Traditional Council's press conference. They had a press conference, and so we would also listen to that insert. We'll also listen to that insert on the press conference, and then we'll make up our mind. We'll leave you with what to think of concerning this very issue. Let's first of all listen to the inserts first. Let's listen to excerpts of the news conference, and then when we come back, we'll continue this discussion. Was it much ado about nothing, or was it a very serious issue that someone is trying to hoodwink us? Is it a crime? Has a crime been committed and we're trying to run away from it and using tradition to hide from it? We'll be talking to people in the space, the CSOs, and even some guns as well. Get some traditionalists and all that to hear their point. But first of all, let's hear from the Nungwa Traditional Council.
The girl in question is actually 16 years old. We accept and agree that by the constitution of the land, she is underage, but she is not married to the Babu Romo as it is being stated. That is not the issue. Yes,
you heard loud and clear. She is not married to the Babu Bulomo. She is not. And like I tried to explain during the news headline, this is just a little misunderstanding, because within the Ga tradition that I know of, that I have stayed with, I have sat with them, I could tell you on authority that the lady is not married to the man. The man represents the deity, but by tradition, the lady is married to the deity. And these are things that we must get clear. These are things that, and this doesn't take away from anybody's Christianity. It is a truth, it is a fact that we must also understand. We must understand that these things are things that would happen. And you see, this for me is just the first of many more to come. You know why? There are certain traditions that various tribes and clans hold dear in this country that haven't been brought to the limelight yet, like in social media. Listen and please hear me out. The fact that you see it on social media, it's been going on for years. So when you see it on social media, please ask questions first before you begin to make noise about it. Because you will be surprised. There are a lot more coming. A lot more coming in the limelight, because you know something is going to. Now these days, everybody has a phone. So yes, they are going to come across some
they're going to come across something and they're going to tape it, they're going to put it out there on social media, and somebody is going to see it. And if you are not careful, you are going to raise hell concerning an issue that you had no business raising hell about. You're going to raise hell concerning an issue that you did not understand. So please, 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 let us try as much as possible to understand these things. Yes, also, whilst talking about this very issue, I also need to state, maybe from as a communications person or a student of the art of communication, I think some of our traditional councils, or in fact, if not even our traditional councils, those who are the custodians of the culture and the traditions of this very nation, please understand the times we are in are different. We are in times when the things you used to do in the past that no one spoke about, the things you used to do in the past that you got away with, not that they were evil, but you got away with it because no one questioned them, no one asked questions concerning these things. I can assure you, this day it will not happen. They will talk about it, they will question it. And so please, in planning your festivals, in planning your traditions and all the ceremonies around it, don't forget we live in the age of social media. We live in an age of social media. I would even have thought that because we live in an era, we live in an age of social media, you should be planning these things with social media in mind. You should be planning these things with social media in mind. Somebody saying, what do I mean by that? Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Could you imagine if it was a Nungwa Traditional Council that had actually put this on their platforms with good explanation? Could you imagine if someone has started by saying, okay, so you're about to witness one of the unique traditions of this this neighborhood or this community or this tribe, and this is what it means. You're about to see this is what it means. You're about to see that, and run a commentary or an explanation before everything. What would then happen is that by the very nature of that video you would put out there, it will shut people down. People would already know the right thing to do. They would already understand that, okay, this thing means this, that means, so that those people who would watch it, they will become advocates for what you're doing. Think about it. They would become the advocates for what you do. So please, in planning, please, traditional councils, we are living in an era of social media. Take advantage of it. You would get a lot more positive than the negative backlashes that you're getting. Yes, but it's still top story. Today, I'm maybe the weather is making me rant a little, but we'll be coming back with still more of the conversation on this alleged marriage in Nungwa.
a lawyer and an advocate for women and girls. So yes, we want to put this story to bed once and for all before we go into the other issues. Let's still hear from Reverend Ankra, who is from the Nungwa Traditional Council. We want to hear from him concerning what happened yesterday. Let's hear from Reverend Ankra.
The statement that we would like to emphasize, and I'm reading that portion again. We would like to emphasize that there is no carnal relationship or marriage involved as perceived by many. I think this will answer your question. Now, the well-being of Nayomo, as we have indicated earlier on, Nayomo attends one of the best private schools in Nungwa. She has her own chauffeur that takes her to school and brings her home back. She's been attended to, as we have indicated, for the past 6 years. She has been performing this particular rite. She has been performing this particular rite, and for that matter, we have the elderly within the community that takes good care of her. She has no friends because she accepts and understands that the task that is ahead for her to perform does not permit her to have a normal child and to have a normal child upbringing. It is part of being a royal. When a royal is born, that particular royal, because of what you are about to do, to become a chief, to become a queen, to become an elderly within the society, there are certain privileges you don't have as a royal. So she's been taken good care of, as I've indicated. And the second one, I would like Reverend Jesse to. The second one, part of the second question was.
The police said.
I would like to take this. It is a statement from the police that the young lady who is our queen is under police protection. Therefore, if the police have remarked that she is under police protection, where again do you want to find her? But we are telling the world that she is our royal. And if the police are saying they are taking care of her, then the police must be reminded that whatever happens to her, then traditionally we will deal with the police.
Okay. Yes. So yes, you heard from Reverend Ankra, and this has to do with the top story we're treating today. Like I said, I have in the studio with me Madam Deborah Akakpo from Network of Women's Rights in Ghana, NetRight, and she's here. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So you heard from Reverend Ankra and some members of the Traditional Council. Mm-hmm. First of all, this story. Mm-hmm. How did you get wind of this story, and where does NetRight, or how did you come into the story?
Okay, for me personally, I got wind of this story way even before the ceremony took place on the 30th of March.
Oh, wow.
I belong to the Ghana Association of Social Workers, and somebody had reached out saying that they have been tipped that something like this was going to happen. And so was calling on asking for support to ensure that the ceremony, the girl is protected. But as a network, we heard about this when it happened on the 30th of March. That was on Saturday when the ceremony actually took place. And as a women's rights organization, as you've already said, it's a network of women's rights. So it's a group of organizations and individuals who are passionate and, concerned about the rights of women in Ghana, the protection, of the human rights of women and girls. And so when we heard about what had happened, it was very disheartening to hear that a 12-year-old girl, had been groomed from the age of 6. You see, the fact that they even keep going back to that story that, this thing has been going on for the past 6 years alone, tells that I heard the Reverend talking about she has accepted because she does not have friends, she does not have a life. That alone contravenes the fundamental human rights of this child. it contravenes the fundamental human rights of this child. It is the right of every child to function as a child as they are, to be able to play, to be able to be protected, to go to school, to have a, to behave like a child. And so depriving her of having friends, isolating her for the past 6 years, all in the name of a culture or tradition, you have robbed the child of a life that she should have had as a human being. And so even starting from that basis alone, there is a problem with that. So for the past 6 years, this girl has not known what it means to be a child, has not known what it means to be a girl. She has been groomed, and we know very well that when it comes to tradition and culture, that grooming is not going to be something very simple. It is going to be a rigorous activity. It's going to come with a whole lot of what do we call it? Rituals and what have you. And we keep saying that this girl has accepted. First of all, at the age of 6, she doesn't even understand what is going on. So if you say she has accepted, she's only taking what she's being given. It's not as if she knows what is going on. Yes, she might have been brought up in a royal family, but that does not mean that at the age of 6, she understands what it means to give her life away for the rest of her life.
Okay, so for you, it is not even the issue of the marriage per se.
Everything.
The fact that she's been chosen to sit at the feet of the deity, whether it was a marriage ceremony or not, for you it's not really that much. But the point is, they shouldn't have taken this girl's life, and that is the stance you are making.
Starting from that point, so every step of the way, things have happened that shouldn't have happened. So she was groomed, and she's been groomed to become a wife. She's been groomed to serve the deity. Did she choose that life for herself? No. But we know that the fundamental human rights of every person, both you and I, we have the freedom to choose. So why is this girl being deprived of the freedom to choose, all in the name of tradition and culture? Then we come down to the ceremony that happens. We are told, we've seen the videos and everything. I know now they are trying to, change the story and say, oh, it wasn't a marriage and all of that. When it happened, it had gotten to the point where she officially had to be brought out and outdoored as a wife to the deity or the priest or whoever, and it's because this story has blown up. That is how come the stories are now changing. You understand me? Why? We have laws, and the laws of the land makes us aware that every culture and tradition is beneath the law. The law supersedes any culture or tradition that we have. So it doesn't matter what I practice in my community, but if the law says what I practice should not be practiced, if not, why was Trokosi banned?
So the law says you can't get married to a deity?
Okay. We have signed on to several conventions and ratifications. And let me read one of the laws to you. Please do. Let me read one of the laws to you. Okay. So we have So we have the African AU Protocol to the African Charter on Human Rights.
Okay.
On the rights of women, which enjoins all states, which Ghana is part of,
exactly,
to eliminate cultural and traditional conduct that reinforces belief that discriminate against women, including stereotyped gender roles.
Okay.
We are party to this law. We have signed. You see, this particular one is even very specific about we using tradition and culture as a way of perpetuating violence against women and girls as a result of the agenda.
Okay.
You get me? So, had it been a boy, would they choose a boy to go and serve the deity? It's because she's a girl. It's because of, her gender. That is why she's the one who... Have you ever heard of any boy being robbed? In the Ga tradition, we are saying that it's something that has been happening all over for a long time. It doesn't mean it makes it right.
Okay.
Even though it's been happening for years, it doesn't make it right. And also, even look at our Constitution, 1992 Constitution, the Children's Act, the Criminal Offences Act. All of these things talk about, even especially the Children's Act, we talked about betrothal. And you are saying that this child from the age of 6 had already been betrothed, already at that age of 6.
My question still remains.
Okay.
Is this betrothal to a man or to a deity? Does the law talk about the deity?
Who does the deity work through? Because the deity has a representative who would function and carry out the request and the activities of the deity. And it is that person who is responsible for this girl.
Okay.
Remember that this is not the first time it's happening. So we know the process. We know that at the end of the day, the girl ends up being the wife of the priest, even though she's there to serve the deity.
Okay, we're also joined by Marian Darlington is also here, and she's smiling. I'm wondering what her stance is on this. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, so we're talking this whole issue. What is your take on this?
Well, I'm smiling because every time I hear this matter, if I don't smile, I'll be pissed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because every single thing I hear.
Let me get this. You say every single time you hear this.
Every single thing I hear
concerning this very issue.
This matter makes it worse.
Yeah.
The past, I think since yesterday, there's been so much damage control. They keep coming back with explanations.
You think that's what they are doing?
That's what they're doing. And it's because there's an uproar. So they need to justify why they are doing this. But every single thing they say makes it worse.
Yeah.
As at this morning, I think on my way here, I heard that the Minister for Chieftaincy says that she's almost 16, or she'll be 16 in July. And so what? Doesn't it make it a crime?
She's not yet 16.
It is a crime. It is against all our laws. I can't even begin to name them. Yeah. And it shouldn't be done. I've also heard now people are saying that she's married to the deity and not the chief priest.
Oh, okay. All right. I get it. Yes, that argument is there.
Yes, as if that makes it okay. It's marriage, whatever form it is. I've also, in the beginning, they started with, oh, she's not going to have sex, as if that is okay. Our laws are against child marriage. Yeah. It makes it clear.
Whether to a man or to a deity, so long as it's marriage. Okay.
So whatever it is, as long as it's marriage, a child cannot be involved in any form of marriage. And then, so it doesn't matter whether it is to a deity or to the chief priest. Now, I've heard so many things that have been said. My question is, I tell people, have you seen the video of whatever was performed? So I'm hearing things and I'm seeing what she did. Now, they said, oh, it is not marriage properly called. What did you do? Every Ghana traditional person, everybody who is familiar with the Ghana custom knows that what was done was the Ghana traditional marriage. It was done. Even if you are not familiar with it and you understood Ghana or it was translated to you, you would know that this was a traditional marriage that was performed. Mm-hmm. It was performed and then the groom was specifically named throughout. I heard Daisy for the first time yesterday. And I was wondering where that's coming from. Yes, I understand that maybe her roles were involved serving the deity, but she was married to chief priest. Let's not even play with words. Or as if we say the deity makes it okay. Then we heard that, oh, she's not going to have sex right now, but she's married. The law says that a child cannot be married. It is not, oh, if you are not going to have sex, then you can marry at a certain age and then wait. No, it's marriage is marriage. So then we heard that she's not going to have sex. And I'm watching the video and I'm like, every single thing said in that ceremony was preparing her for a sexual life in marriage. Every single thing, even to the point where she was being taught or tutored on how to sexually seduce the chief priest when he's obsessed with you or when he's not in the right mood and things he should do. Some of the gifts that were brought to her or for her were explained to be for that particular purpose. And so what are you telling us? If you come and you say, okay, she's not going to be married, and she's there, you're telling her that these are the things they are supposed to do, you're confusing her. And these are some of the reasons why children are not supposed to even be engaged in marriage. Because what's the point? Then I also heard that, yesterday I heard that they said she's reincarnated. And so she's not even a teenager. She is 300 and something years old.
Oh boy.
All these things tells you that they are aware that she's an underage girl. Yeah. It's illegal, so it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be done. It's a crime. Yeah. And I'm surprised I haven't heard from the Ghana Police Service on who exactly has been arrested. Yeah. That seems to be a mystery. We've only heard that the girl and her mom are in police protection.
Yeah, but I think the traditional council said it's not true. The girl goes to school, blah blah blah. She goes to school and come. That the girl is under any protection of a sort. They denied it yesterday.
Yeah, but police protection does not mean that she'll not go to school.
Yes, she'll go to school. Yeah.
But who is taking her to school and back?
You have to ask the Ghana Police Service.
You think they've not pulled their weight in this thing? The Ghana Police?
So I want to believe that what the Ghana Police Service has put out is the truth.
Okay.
That they're actually under protection. Protection doesn't mean that they are in some room somewhere hidden,
Okay.
They cannot breathe or interact. It only means that your movement you need police protection. Other than that, you are going to be involved in some hideous practice and she needs to be protected from that. They've also said the matter is currently under investigation.
Yeah.
Trusted sources tell me that some people have been arrested, but we are yet to hear from the Ghana Police Service on that matter, on that regard. And I'm very interested to know who, because everybody who was at that ceremony should be arrested.
Yeah.
Everybody. Did you see how many women followed her to hand her over to a 63-year-old?
That.
I have seen posts on social media saying that he's a pedophile. I have seen the posts.
I've also seen some popular social media people use the word pedophile.
Not even with the word. To say that he has the habit of having sexual relations with underage girls.
Oh, there is proof of that in the community?
I've seen, according to those who are in the community.
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time.
Oh, wow.
My question is, and they've said that this girl started her duties when she was 6. So then ask yourself, what is different?
Yeah.
Why did they decide to come now to perform a certain marriage ceremony? It is because now she's capable of procreation. And the first post that came out said it, that as part of her duties, she should procreate. All of a sudden, everybody's saying, oh, should not be having sex. There's no sexual intercourse.
I keep saying that argument of, she's been groomed from 6 years. I said that even makes it worse. How do you deprive a child of a fundamental human right, which says she has the right to function as a child, to play, to be protected, to be safe, to go to school, and you have burdened this child with... The Reverend was saying, she doesn't have friends, she's been isolated, she understands what she's supposed to do. That alone, this child for the past 6 years has not had a life. She has been at the beck and call of the traditions of her community. What kind of an upbringing is that? We have laws in this country, and I'm asking myself, what happened? And you see the justification that they keep bringing up that, this has been happening for all these years and, so they think it's okay. And how come, and I heard one of the traditional council members saying that, is these young men and women who have come these days and they've used their phones to take the video that has caused all of this. And so for future events, they will not allow people to bring in their cameras and things. That alone tells you that they know they are hiding something.
Okay, so... in our cultures, we've been hiding stuff for long.
Yeah.
Chief dies, who knows what happens?
Yeah.
Buried in the midnight, who knows what happens? Few people are supposed to be at a cemetery, who knows what happens? So traditionally, we've been hiding stuff. So I think, but let me now talk about a bigger issue. This is one traditional council, one young girl, one incident. Does that worry you? Because this is a nation of 1,000 more of these traditions that have not found their way to Facebook yet.
No, a lot of... Remember that, I started with the Tokoshi system. which was banned how many years ago? And it was basically indirectly this same practice of, oh, my family has done wrong. We take a young virgin to go and atone the sins. She goes to stay with the priest. And before you know it, she's procreating for the priest and all of that. And they don't have a life. But the law banned that practice. So the law is there. It's not as if it's not there. The fact that people are hiding it does not make it right. Why are they hiding it in the first place? Why are they hiding to do it if they know that it is right?
I'm saying the hiding we can excuse because stuff happened that we don't know. But if it is wrong, it is wrong.
Right.
Yes, if it is wrong, it is wrong.
I'm actually excited that this came out.
Yes.
I also take that view.
I was surprised because I felt Grace Christ beyond this. You know, we are more evolved than this. And so I was surprised that this was happening. But I was excited that it happened. So that people are aware that, listen, we are aware. We are watching. Yeah. You can't do this anymore. And yes, it's because it's come out on social media. But that's the whole purpose of social media. Unfortunately for you, now people are more likely to watch out for these things, to put it out there.
More enlightened.
When I saw the video, I said, everybody in that ceremony should be arrested because look at the number of people that are aware that it's a 12-year-old. They went there to cheer it on.
Endorsed it.
Okay. I still want to go back to the issue of social media.
Yeah.
Has social media also not gotten us into quotes and unquote trouble?
What kind of
in the sense of breaking traditions that had good reason for what they were. Let me give you an example. Okay. A prominent chief dies in this country. You want it broken first on social media, or you want tradition to go on?
So we have evolved. We cannot run away from the fact that things have evolved. Things are no longer the same.
I 100% agree.
Yes. So you see, whether there was a traditional way of
announcing the chief's death.
Announcing the chief's death. Now we all acknowledge the fact that social media is there and we can't run away from it.
And moreover, the two are not mutually exclusive. The fact that social media exists doesn't mean that traditional methods or procedures should be done away with. Social media should actually be the enhancer of whatever traditional process you have or procedure that you have. It's unfortunate that because it's going to illuminate it, it's going to illuminate including the bad side.
Yeah.
However, I would encourage our traditional leaders and council to rather see how they can make
they should use social media
to educate.
That was my call this morning.
And also to recognize the fact that certain things are not okay and they should do away with it. I've heard ridiculous explanations to this menace. And it surprises me that people are still coming out to defend it.
And they keep spinning all sorts. It's like you can see the gimmicks they are playing. From day one, we knew the girl was 12. Then within that same traditional council, somebody comes up and says she's 30, as if that makes it any better. And then you come back and you say she's 16. But the age of marriage in Ghana, per the laws, are 18. So it's like the more they speak, the more they say things that further enrage the citizens of the land. You cannot justify what has been done, whether we like it or not. If it is wrong, it is wrong. A 12-year-old child cannot be groomed from the age of 6 towards marriage, being told that you are going to be married to this priest. The right to choose is no longer there. The right to love is no longer there because you cannot love, whether you like it or not. This is the person you are going to be with. She's saying that the reverend, honestly, the fact that he's even a reverend and saying this beats my mind. They played it before.
But Marianne, have you heard the reverend?
She hasn't.
I think we'll play it one more time, just for the benefit of Marianne, so that you hear what the reverend said. Let's play it.
That we would like to emphasize, and I'm reading that portion again. We would like to emphasize that there is no carnal relationship or marriage involved as perceived by many. I think this will answer your question. Now, the well-being of Nayomo, as we have indicated earlier on, Nayomo attends one of the best private schools in Nwa. She has her own chauffeur that takes her to school and brings her home back. she's been attended to, as we have indicated, for the past 6 years. She has been performing this particular rite. She has been performing this particular rite, and for that matter, we have the elderly within the community that takes good care of her. She has no friends because she accepts and understands that the task that is ahead for her to perform does not permit her to have a normal child and to have a normal child upbringing. It is part of being a royal. When a royal is born, that particular royal, because of what you are about to do, to become a chief, to become a queen, to become an elderly within the society, there are certain privileges you don't have as a royal. So she's been taken good care of, as I've indicated. And the second one, I would like Reverend Jesse to. The second one, part of the second question was.
The police said. I would like to take this. It is a statement from the police that the young lady who is our queen is under police protection. Therefore, if the police have remarked that she is under police protection, where again do you want to find her? But we are telling the world that she is our royal. And if the police are saying they are taking care of her, then the police must be reminded that whatever happens to her, then traditionally we will deal with the police.
Yeah, traditionally they will deal with the police.
Honestly, this beats my mind.
They should feel free.
It's as if
you've had
I
the
think
two
a
reverends.
challenge has been thrown
Both of them
to
are
governments.
Reverend JC, Reverend Ankrat. I thought I heard Reverend JC.
Oh, I see.
A challenge has been thrown to the police and the government to prove that the laws of the land supersedes every culture and tradition. Because if the police has stepped in and you can issue such and say we would deal.
Everything that these people say is an admission of the crime. And so I'm shocked. Like, I'm shocked Ghana Police Service hasn't come. Everything they say. And in law, we say that when somebody admits something, there's no need for you to go and prove in it. It's an admission. Everything. She's been doing it for 6 years. An admission that you are involved in criminal activities for the past 6 years. Like, at this point, there should be before some judge.
At the age of 6, she can't even consent to anything.
Even
she
right
can't,
now.
yes.
Even right
until
now.
what is the age of consent in Ghana?
I'm yet to hear somebody say she's 18.
What is the age of consent in Ghana?
Nobody has been able to say it.
And so you're saying that she has accepted. She hasn't accepted. It was handed to her. She's taking what she's been given because she's not even had the opportunity to live her life as a child. So she doesn't even understand. You are saying she's being chauffeur driven. She's been this, she's been that. But we know the people of Nongwa have said that is not even true. Until this whole thing came out before, the fact that she's being chauffeur driven doesn't make it any right. What has taken place?
For me,
any rights?
For me, imagine the kind of childhood this girl has. If she's being chauffeur driven, assuming it's true, what kind of childhood could she possibly have? The ridicule she's going to encounter in school by virtue of who she is or who she has to become. But I have a question. This is a Wulo mother she's married to.
Mm-hmm.
They are Wulo in the Ghana community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you heard any of them taking a 12-year-old boy? Being married to a 12-year-old boy?
That's what I said. If the tables are turned.
No, they are Wulo. They are Wulo. It's not something that we have to imagine.
Yeah.
They exist.
Mm-hmm.
Has any of them taken a 12-year-old boy
groomed
as a husband?
Okay, what's your point?
My point is that this can only happen to girls.
That's exactly what I said. Because
it will not happen to any boy.
Mm-hmm.
No. And for me, I want you to really think about it. She's been doing this since she was 6. That's what they've said consistently. Why is this different? It's because she's probably started her period.
Yeah.
She's 12.
Yeah.
She started her period, so they know that okay, she's ready to have
male advances,
children,
all of
and
that.
so let's marry her so that she can procreate. Yeah. Because if she's been doing this since 6, it's not news. What has changed? Something has changed. Boy children cannot have children, cannot carry pregnancy. They do not have their periods and all of those things, they cannot be, in quotes, defiled. It's only the girl child that can be defiled. And so then somebody said we are warding off men or something like that. We are doing this so that men will not come to her and think, well, even that thought
alone
is criminal. That means that you're planning to deprive her from her basic fundamental rights.
Yeah.
I mean, in traditional areas in this country, you would hear of a boy who has disappeared, gone into the forest, not seen in months. Boy comes back later, the hair is in person. They say he's the next priest of the land. Of course, defilement and stuff won't come in here and all that. I'm asking this because this is cutting both ways. We're saying that if the tradition is taken away from the youth of the person, regardless of age
or gender,
it is a crime.
Yes.
Okay, that takes the conversation into another area, because then it's a bigger challenge. Now, there's a challenge I'm seeing here. If we were to put, and this is not to advocate for anybody, but if we were to put the laws of the land side by side, just opposite to the traditions in various communities, a lot of people would be in jail, wouldn't they?
Yes.
I like that. They said yes. A lot of people are going to be in jail because a lot of these traditions are going to fall foul of the law.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll be talking to Nana Obriyebo, who is a traditionalist and a sociologist, on this very matter. We're also trying to talk to a prominent Ghana, a native, just so that we get their angle as well. This is still top story on Zed in the morning. We're talking alleged marriages and marriages to humans and deities and law and all that pertains to it. Way forward, what are you expecting from NetRight? What are expectations for those of you within the NetRight?
As the Network of Women's Rights in Ghana, we think that this is an opportunity for us to, create an awareness, an opportunity for us to use the various mediums to talk about the infringements of the rights of women and girls. A lot of things have been going on within our network. Organizations in their own small way have been working in communities, trying to change the various social norms that does not allow the facilitation of a good life for women and girls. And so we believe that this is a bigger picture for the government to get on board. The gender ministry, this is the mother body for all of us. Okay, don't let me put them on. Let me just
maybe you should.
Let me just hold back, because when this thing happened, the immediacy with which they responded, I didn't see that.
Okay.
The thing was just watching. It's like
the police was watching. Departments of Social Welfare falls under the gender ministry.
Yeah.
I said earlier that I got wind of this even before it happened. I belong to the Ghana Association of Social Workers, and somebody prompted us like 4 days even before it happened that this was going to happen, and therefore they needed the Department of Social Welfare to step in and stop the process. The Department of Social Welfare couldn't do anything. So that means that even the institutions and the structures that we have need to be empowered more to protect us as they are supposed to. Okay, this is an opportunity also for the various media platforms to give opportunity to people like Marian and others to come out and educate the public. As you said, there are so many cultures and traditions happening across the 16 regions in Ghana, and a lot of them, do not support women and girls. And so this is an opportunity for us to be able to come out and talk about some of these customs and traditions and explain to people that ignorance of the law is no excuse. If the law says that this is wrong, it is wrong. And therefore we must understand and know that, these things must be done away with. I keep talking about the social, the psychological, the physical aspect of everything that has happened. This girl, psychologically, what is going on? She becomes a teenage mother. because at that age she's young. Science has made us aware that at that age, when she's going to give birth, she's going to have challenges which might even result in she dying. The health implications that would come to her, the psychological impact of not being able to function, society as a whole, seeing that for her it's like society is against me because everybody has endorsed what is being done to me. These are things we need to talk about. No one is talking about all this impact on this girl and the other impacts that the various cultures and traditions have had. There is this culture in the central region called Domfar.
Okay.
Where when a woman gives birth out of wedlock, the parents will now, insist that the man pay some hefty sum in order to have access to the child. And then what happens? What we've realized in a lot of these communities is that when it happens and the man says, oh, maybe I have 1,000 Ghana, they say 1,000, no, we want 10,000, we want 20,000 Ghana cedis, and this young man cannot afford. Then they'll say, we won't give the child to you. Then what happens? The woman's family is not in a position to take care of this child, but the man is in a position to cater for the needs of this child. They prevent this man from educating the child, from taking responsibility for the child, and this child grows up and becomes a vagabond whilst the father is alive. And the law says that it is the duty of the man to provide, to give the child a name. It is the right of the child to have a name, the right of the child to be taken care of and protected. But culture and tradition has prevented this child from benefiting from that support that she could have gotten, knowing very well that the parents of her or of his mother are not in a position to support his well-being. So these are some of the, you see, a lot of these things are going on all over the place. But I believe that, as I said, it's good it's happened. Yeah. It's good it's come out. Everybody is talking. People are asking questions and questioning even some of their traditions, which probably in the past they never thought of as being the wrong thing.
Thank you so much. We have Dr. Obriyeboah on the line. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Top story, we're discussing the incidents that have led to this Nungwa Traditional Council, and if I could say the whole of Ghana up in arms of this marriage of this child. What are your thoughts on this? Where do you see this from?
Yes, I think that it is nothing more than Tokoshi we have been fighting against, where young women, young girls have been married to shrines and exploited by shrine owners. It's part of the enslavement of women all over the world, and shrine marriage of innocent girls have been going on, and for some decades we have been fighting, and we have been able to save some of them. Some of them have been compensated. I know the Tokoshi is not only in Benin, it's also in Ghana, from the eastern part of let's say from Adan, Gadangbe area up to Benin to Nigeria. So it's nothing different. They should tell us where the spirit want to marry a woman. For what? It's a part of exploitation. They tell you they are not going to have any conjugal relationship. But it's a lie. Is there any evidence that the spirit represented by human beings I've told that human being to marry a young girl? Wouldn't that girl go to school? It's Tokoshi. It's not different. I'm surprised that the gender and whatever, women protection and all those things are sitting down. I'm surprised because this is something we have been talking about, outmoded customs. These are outmoded customs. If we were good some years ago, it may not be appropriate today. I'm not surprised that we are sitting down. People are afraid because maybe politics and want to keep quiet and say it's a part of tradition. What tradition?
So
if you know what is Tokoshi, it is outmoded custom, and some NGOs have fought against this, and they have liberated many of these in the water region. It's not true. It's not also shrine marriage.
Yeah, that is.
One shrine has about 30 wives. They work for him. They have given birth to him. They say it's for the shrine. The shrine that had intercourse with the do deities have intercourse that bring children, human beings. We should go stop the hypocrisy and stop that as a reenactment of slavery of young women. Please.
Doc, let me find out from you what do you think is a way forward? What should be done concerning this very issue?
Isn't the law there? Who is enforcing the law? IGP is there, and we have been arresting people doing female genital mutilation. It's no different from what has happened. There's an abuse of somebody's rights. Okay, maybe they are poor, so they allow their daughter to marry a woman who may have some shaking around. He gets money, and they think that he has enough money to give to that poor girl, that poor family. Well, why is it that another female woman doesn't marry a young boy of 6 or 12? It's only women. So the deity is a male. Is that what they're telling us? Does it make sense? Does it make sense that the deities are all males marrying women, young women? It's not. I'm so surprised in this modern Ghana when for decades, 30 years, we have been fighting childhood, female child marriages. We have been fighting it for a long time. Why we bring it today? They're supporting that. It is tradition. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
You would advocate for the arrest of all those who had the event?
Go arrest them. IGP is there sitting down. Is the police only to arrest criminals? There is abuse of the law. Abuse. That's what I think. It's slavery. And yesterday I heard gender some queen mothers all that are afraid to pinpoint out the wrong things we have been doing in this country. Tokoshi is an example of child marriages. And many young innocent women have been redeemed. They have been protected from this unscrupulous sex maniacs. Doing as if they are innocent. They are pure. It's not true. Please. Now I'm enraged. That's why I'm talking like this.
I can understand perfectly. So we would thank you so much for joining us and letting us know your views on this. Any last thoughts before you leave us?
Well, I think that the law must take its course. The Constitution bars that. There's even defilement. There's defilement. You see, now they say they move from 12 to 16 to save their skills. 16, you can still, I don't know what the Constitution about 16. Can 16 marry a deity? Not even a human being, a deity. They are saying the marriage is just for the deity. The deities are all males. It's laughable. You see, why are we creating these jokes in this modern times? We should be serious. And I want the gender ministry or gender minister, the first lady, the second lady, all those ladies who have the Chief Justice to move to save that young girl and give her proper education, proper orientation. I don't think she's of her mind.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We are really appreciated, and we hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, sir. Okay, so you heard from, and you're smiling because I think he echoed your sentiments as well. So let me find out from Marian. This issue about age of consent and age of marriage, you said it doesn't arise here at all because if admitted that this thing was done, it started 6 years ago. So whether it's she's of consent or whatever, it doesn't arise.
Whether it's marriage, she's underage and so it's illegal. It's illegal for her to be in any type of marriage situation. It's legal for anybody to put her in any type of marriage situation. Obviously, she's not of age where she can. And actually our age for marriage is 21. is 18 with parental consent. And so even when she was 18, she could not on her own say she was going to get married. She needed her parents, and she's 12. So she cannot. I've heard people say, oh, but she's happy doing it. It doesn't even matter. Nobody can even go and ask her, do you want to do this? Like, even at this particular point, if she were to be interviewed by anybody, nobody can even ask her, are you okay with what you are doing? Are you happy? Like, it doesn't matter. Whether she's happy or not is immaterial. It's just illegal. These are what we call strict liability offenses. Like, the fact that you've done it, there's no explanation. It's wrong. It's a crime. Then they said it's betrothal. Excuse me, our laws are against it. She's a child. She cannot be betrothed. It cannot happen. They said the betrothal happened when she was 6 years. That's an admission of a crime. And it makes it worse. And so that is also a crime. Now, with the sex part, we are saying she's not 16. She cannot even be consenting to sex. And they've come out to say she's not going to have sex. So let's not even play. Because now I've seen that the 16-year card is going to play for consensual sex, because 16 is the legal age for consensual sex. And so they want to rope in the 16. Oh, she's almost 16. But you guys said she's not having sex. So what?
Why should you even bring in that?
But it is because they know that she's a child and they are willing to keep going on with this. And for me, I think that we have failed as a country, because it's been a few days since this news broke out. I was in the US when I heard this. I came yesterday. And up till now, there's been nothing. Our president, who claims that he is women's rights champion, he's quiet. First lady is quiet. Second lady is quiet. Yeah. Gender, I don't even know whether we have a gender minister. The ministry is quiet.
Police,
social welfare is quiet. What are we doing? The only thing we've heard from anybody close to government is Ghana Police Service saying that she's under police protection. But they're not telling us who has been arrested.
The perpetrators.
Who has been arrested? Because what investigation again are you doing? People have come out with their chests to say we are doing this. We have failed. What are our girls going to go through? It's been how many days? It's been how many days? And the fact that probably the police has taken her from where she was is not enough protection. The people are left. They are there. As of now, we don't know who is in custody. Yes, maybe somebody has been arrested or invited to be questioned, but who is in custody? If it's not this girl, it's going to be another girl. Trust me, there's going to be someone else. Yeah. If it's not in the same community, it's going to be in a different community. It's going to happen. So what are we doing to protect our girls?
Okay. I mean, just a little on the side. The law, the consent for sex is 16. Mm-hmm. Age for consent is 16. Yeah. But marriage is what? 18 with parental and then 21, like you said. So I could have sex 2 years before I get married? Is that what the law is saying?
Sex is not equal to marriage.
Okay.
Not everybody wishes to be married.
Okay.
Not everybody will get married. People are allowed to have sex if they want to have sex. The only requirement we are asking for is an informed consent. You want to do it with your free will. And if you must get married, it comes with other responsibilities apart from sex. And so we need you to be of a certain age where you are able to conceptualize the art of marriage or the institution of marriage, know what comes in, know what is required of you, and then you can make that decision for yourself.
Okay.
That is why I believe that the lawmakers made that discrepancy. Not everybody wishes to be married, but people may wish to have sex despite the fact that they are not married.
They don't want to get married. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so before I take leave of the two wonderful women in the studio this morning, last words. So you're thinking 10 years from now, there should be no story like this, or 10 is really far away. This should be the end of it.
It might take a while. We know how long it took for Tokoshi to, finally be something that was outlawed, abolished. It took a while. The journey started years before. So, the process has begun. The awareness has dawned on all of us. So it means that Now we need to ensure that our advocacy is rife. Like go out there, we should be speaking about it, calling, the government to order, calling the various mandated institutions to act, not sitting idle and watching these things happen. We've opened the floodgates. Now let's see how well. You know how we have the laws, even the man said how we have the laws, but the effective implementation of the laws is always our problem. We are always fast to enact laws, but when it comes to somebody has, contravened this law, how do we punish the person? Even though the sanctions are there, but for it to take effect, it becomes a problem. So let's see, maybe this will be an example. As Marian said, if these people are arrested, persecuted, it sends a message to other people. And so we are calling, as the Network of Women's Rights in Ghana, we are calling on the government that the time is now. The time is now. Let us know that we are a country. We say we are the gateway to Africa. Let the world feel that we are actually the gateway to Africa. Let the world know that our president, who is a champion for women, is actually, a champion for women. And all of us, communities, citizens, we all have a role to play. Let's not sit idle. Let's not watch. It could be somebody's daughter today. All those people who are championing this, I bet you, if it is their relative, their sister, their daughter, the tables would turn in terms of what they would say. So as the account saying goes, when you see somebody's beard burning, you get water. So it's not drama today. Tomorrow it could be somebody you know. So let's all rise up and speak against it, advocate against the various social-cultural norms and practices that infringes on the rights of women and girls.
Thank you so much, Marianne.
For me, I want to call on immediate actions. I've just seen that the Deputy Attorney General, Danasina Dapa, has petitioned the IGP saying that this is a crime. Yeah. People should be arrested and yes, they should be prosecuted in that regard. And so I want to see some action. I want to call on all stakeholders, anybody that has the future of Ghana at heart, the future of our girls, our children, to come and take action. The police make an arrest, prosecute. Let's see that it's happening. All the various stakeholders, don't be quiet. We are counting on you. The Ministry of Gender, please come up and do something. Because if the Ministry of Gender is not doing anything, really, So I'd like to call on everybody to recognize the fact that these customary practices are illegal, they are harmful, our children are not safe, and then staying must be ended.
I've just been wondering, shouldn't the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture see this as an opportunity to start going into some of these, bring out, put some light into some of these cultural practices and be pointing out that this is wrong, that is wrong. I mean,
I have had conversations with people since this news broke out, regular people like myself.
Okay.
But when you hear the mentality that they have, then I'm not surprised that the Chieftaincy Ministry
is not active.
Being entrenched in cultural practices couldn't be bothered, or it would rather advocate for these things to continue. Because people, I ask, will you give your 12-year-old child, for whatever customer practices that you believe in, to be married to such a man? And there are people who are willing to say yes. And so I am not surprised that they're not doing that, to answer your question.
Yeah.
I believe that we have a lot of harmful practices.
I think so
Child
too.
marriage is happening in Ghana all over the country. For me, I was surprised that was still happening in Greater Accra. But this is an eye-opener for us to know that now we can't sit down. As feminists, we can't sit down. As women's rights advocates, we can't sit down. As legal practitioners, we cannot sit down. As people who uphold the laws, we cannot sit down. As child rights protection institutions in Ghana, we cannot sit down. We need to be up and going. This, if nothing at all, this should be something that's shaking us. Even the chieftaincy ministry probably should be educated. Probably they do not know.
It's possible.
Let's give them.
Ignorance could also be.
No.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for us to say, listen, you need to call your people to order. So let's educate them. Let's start with that. If you educate them, and then now
they can go in there and throw light on the negative practices and say,
not, then we are taking them out.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So that has been this has been quite an interesting discussion today. We've been hearing from two very strong advocates for women and girls, Deborah Akakpo from the Network of Women's Rights in Ghana, NetRight, and also Marian Darlington, who is a lawyer and advocate for women and girls. It's been Top Story right here on Zed in the Morning. We'll be coming back right after this with the continuation of Zed Talk. going up and down and trying to. Yes, so we will try to talk to a nurse, but for purposes of anonymity, we would keep her name out of this interview. We just want to understand the space, and then we come back to it later on. Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
It's great to have you here on Zed in the morning on Zed 101.9 FM.
Thanks.
We hope the morning has been well with you.
What do we say? We thank God that another day has come.
That's good to know. So we're talking this exodus of qualified nurses out of this country and the implications thereof. First of all, I understand that you have very good knowledge within this space. Could you tell us how this whole thing comes about? What are the processes and what are the issues that arise out of it?
Thanks for the opportunity. I may say most of them are leaving because of the conditions of service. When you ask those who are leaving, they will tell you, you work, but you are not being paid what is worth your work. So most of them are leaving because of the condition of service. And when you look at the conditions when it comes to, let me say, nursing in particular, is not really appetizing because you are renting. Some are taking car from a long distance to their various destination of working place, and you know the cost of living in the country. So it's like from hand to mouth, nothing to serve, to talk about the high rent issues in the country. So basically, if you weigh what they are paying out there compared to what you are earning here, then you rather think of, why don't I go out there and I can earn something, save something, and then do something at home. So most of them are basically leaving because of the condition of services.
So salary is key to this.
Yes, yes.
Then the conditions of work as well.
Yes, the conditions, transportation, accommodation. These are all the challenges that we are facing as health workers. Okay, so and then you'll be there, and then what? Are we saying that recruitment agencies are coming into the hospitals, or what? How does the process start? Not really into the hospital, but if you go on the net, you see the applications out there on the net, like if you want to travel to this country and so contact this person, do this. And those who have been there or who are there already, they are also, telling us the stories about what they are benefiting there. So all these things are really changing the mindset of people too. Then why don't you also move on and join?
But what about the argument that government has invested heavily in your training? Don't you owe something to this country to stay and to make sure that you're serving the country that has invested in your training?
It's true, government has played its role, and we are not saying that all is bad. But when you look at our training, even in training, you go and work. When it comes to health training, whilst in school, you work as well as any other normal staff who has completed school that is working. We call it the practicum. There's no rest for you as a health nurse when you are in training. We work. So government is also playing his part, but we are also playing our part as well. It's not like government just play his part and we also just sit down without, no. We work perfectly.
So that you believe that the amount that government is investing, you're actually working to, as it were, pay for it whilst you're training.
Yes. Even after completion, you go to facilities that the items to work with are not there because something improvised. Sometimes we laugh at ourselves that you improvise and even if we improvise your body when it comes to work. The basic amenities to work with, people are not having it. You go to the hinterland and see how nurses are suffering there. Even the accommodation to stay in, the road to where they have been posted. Some have to cross rivers here and there. And at least there should be some motivation for those who are even in the hinterland to really motivate them about the work they are doing. But there's nothing like that sort going on. It's recently that they are trying to inculcate, like if you're in the rural setting, they'll reduce the number of years you have to serve before you go for your study leave. It's recently that these things are coming up now. People are really suffering. People are really suffering.
Yes, so listeners, we're talking to a nurse who we're not naming, but we still want to get into the heart of the issue concerning the exodus of nurses out of this country. Let me ask, we hear that when the nurses go outside, they don't get to practice immediately when they get there. What are your colleagues telling you? Is this true, and how is this impacting on them?
I may say it depends on the agencies that is recruiting whoever is out there. Some, they go, when you interview some of them, they take them through training. You know, it's a different system altogether compared to our system here. So when they go, according to some of them, they have to train them to suit their system. And some tend not to even practice in their area of specialty. That is the sad aspect of it. Because mind you, the people that are traveling and the people that are having the experience, they will say that we have a lot of chunk of nurses in the home that they are not really employed yet, that are yet to join the system. But we are talking about experience here. If you employ that new person today, the person is now coming to start everything afresh before gain that experience. But the one leaving is the one that has gained the experience already in the system. And this is the case, the person is even going not to even practice at his or her area or specialty, but doing different altogether because of what? Money.
Are there colleagues of yours who have decided to stay and they won't go, or they are all just saying it's a matter of time?
I may say that is a matter of time. But genuinely, there are some nurses who wish to stay in this country and work to serve their mother Ghana. But because of the conditions around them, family issues there and there, they are forced to go out there. Me, I believe I can make it when I stay in this country. But what I'm also expecting that the government should also look at our conditions of services. When it comes to transportation, accommodation, government should look at that. Should look at the salary. Because at the end of the day, you go to market and what you earn, brother, seriously is not really helping. It's not helping. You receive your pay. It's as if you are now. It's as if you've not even received the pay. I don't know how to even narrate the whole situation. You are owing so many people, so you get a salary, you are just disbursing, and you are back to square one. Nothing to save.
How does this? Because I'm wondering that you're going to work in the morning. How are you feeling as a next? What is the thought process of a next? If you can take us into the minds of a typical Ghanaian nurse now in these conditions with all your colleagues, some leaving and all that. What is your thought? What keeps you going to work in the morning?
As I prepare going to work, I'm looking at the environment I'm going to work with, the things that I need that I'm not getting. And I have to struggle. You see cases coming that you need some just basic things to save their life, and they are not there. So you are forced to request for referral for some of them. And the hell you even go through before some of these cases are even sent out. So you are going to say, hey, God, you are just praying that there shouldn't be any difficult cases that you go and meet that will really break you down. Especially when it comes to referral issues in this country, it's very, very tedious. When you are referring from the low end to the higher end, the time the child will even move to the place that you really want the child to go to receive that specialty care, it is not a small thing. You call, they say, call back. That is a back forth. A case doesn't have to move immediately. If you suppose it will take you 5 hours, 3 hours, the least you get is within 2 hours before the case will move. And it's so demoralizing when you see those cases that you are nursing and you really need help for them, and the system is not just working. So as you are going, you are just praying that God should make your day successful so that you don't meet any challenging cases that will come your way that will just break you down.
What about those who have said that that the nurses of the past were the Florence Nightingales of the past? They loved the job and they were ready to serve because nursing is actually going there to serve. But what about those who say that? What do you have to say to them? They say the modern day nurse is not. They say people are not patriotic.
Yeah, I congratulate our predecessors. They have really done well. Seriously, they have really done well. Because if you read some of the histories about how the nursing started, how some of them have to sacrifice. Some do not even have a child because of the work. And as I said, they have really done well. But their time, it's not like the system we are in now. The population was low at that time. Here we are having a high population now. And talk about the disease conditions that are cropping up now. As I said, that time it was there, but it was at a low pace. So it's a different era we are in now compared to their era. They have really, really done well. Seriously. Because now that new things are coming up here and there, and with the social media, like you can easily go and learn about something. But that time, there wasn't anything like social media network that you can easily have access to learning tools that you can apply at your area of practice. But let me say, our time we have access to those things. If you meet a condition that you have no knowledge about, you can easily go and type in, and you have a fair idea about the condition you are handling at hand. But that time it wasn't like that. But they've really done well to save life. So I may say, in fact, I really salute them. They have really done well. But we cannot compare that era to this era that we are in now. No.
Okay. Different times, different conditions.
Yes.
Any final words, any appeal? Because I sense it coming. Any appeal before I let you go this morning?
And as our president, Madam Perpetual Fori Ampufu has said, I'll just add to what she said. We are pleading with the government to look at the condition of services for the health workers in terms of accommodation, transportation, and then the basic items that we need at the various institutions to work with. Government should direct its focus there for us. It will surprise you that basic things like ammo bag, you go to some facility, you don't even have it. So we are just pleading. They should look at how to equip the health facilities. And our brothers and sisters who are in the hinterland that are giving service, healthcare services to where there's no network and everything, there should be some motivation for them to really challenge them to stay there to help their life out there.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We wish you the very best of today. So listeners, she's a nurse. She's told you that sometimes when she's going to work, she prays that today let no case come that would frustrate her. She prays for the very best because she doesn't want to meet a case where she's unable to do anything about it because the resources are not there for her to save lives, just as she's gone to school all along to do, and her colleagues are leaving the country in droves. So yes, we've been tackling that conversation. Listeners, you know the importance of these things. You understand the importance of health to the nation's well-being. Here we are this morning. We were congratulating the country as a whole. I don't like saying congratulating government or whatever, but the country as a whole for the zip line project, where lives are being saved because blood is flying in 30 minutes, getting to destinations where they are needed. Yes, that in itself was a plus, and we said it this morning. But what if the nurse that is going to use that blood to save that life has not been in the best of conditions in her mind? What if that nurse is not in the best state of mind to use that very blood that zip line flew? So it must be holistic. Whilst we're doing one, we should also look at the other one. It's still Zed in the morning. I am Jerry Hum, coming back right after this with science and tech. But before that, 8:55, we're doing the new segment called Customer Service and Experience. Today, we're coming with the latest in customer service and experience. Don't touch that dial. This is still Zed in the morning. business like we did yesterday. And then Wednesdays are going to be for science and technology. Thursdays, art, culture, and tourism. And then Fridays is going to be a business roundtable. This is your new look, Zed in the morning. So today we will be talking science and tech. Generally, how is science and tech contributing to this nation's aspirations? And are we really doing much in the area of science and tech? It will be coming up after the 9 o'clock break. But before we touch on that, yes, we told that the staff of the IMF are in Ghana to conduct the second review of the 3-year, $3 billion IMF-backed program for economic growth post-COVID-19. The evaluation comes after the successful completion of the initial review in January. So yes, IMF staff are in town. And you know, when it comes to IMF issues, Ghanaians get excited when they hear IMF, because for some reason IMF has become synonymous with bailout. So whenever I hear IMF, you know there is a money discussion and all that. I'm happy to be joined in the studio by our business editor, Mr. Isaac Edu. Senior, you don't come here a lot, crowd. I guess you come
Good
here
to see
a lot.
you.
Charlie, my brother, what's going on? So this IMF thing, what is it about? Because in the business space, it looks like it's a big story for you. What's happening there?
Yeah, so Ghana has gone back to the IMF. As you're saying, a lot of people are like, this IMF thing. The issue has been why we keep on going to the IMF. And this is about the 17th time we're going there. And, well, we're hoping that it will be the last. But they are in town anyway.
Okay.
And, well, we are hopeful that the third disbursement will come after the evaluation. Hopefully, looking at the indicators so far, inflation is trending downwards.
Okay.
We are making some progress, but there's more to be done. And the last time the IMF boss was in town, she was quite impressed.
Okay.
And about what we are doing so far, even though others may disagree. But then so far it's been good. So I think that it's not bad. They are in town, and they are listening. They are watching.
Okay.
Their guys are in town. They are going to be discussing a lot with the Ministry of Finance, and hopefully by May, June, we should get the third tranche coming in if everything goes well.
You're optimistic we'll be able to meet their standard?
Oh, yes, we are. And I referred to what the Bank of Ghana's governor indicated recently, that they are confident that we would do well and get the third tranche coming in. So it's all well.
But Ike, is the average Ghanaian feeling this 21st tranche, second tranche? Are we feeling it? Or we are not supposed to feel it?
We are supposed to do so, but that's for the long term.
Okay.
And to be frank, you recall we did some vox pops around, and people were not too sure what this IMF thing was about.
Okay.
So it behooves on us to educate people about this. And I recall we did some interviews with some economists who said that in the long term, this should come back to us positively.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, the tranches are good. The thing about this is that we should not get back to the IMF after this phase. We should do our things well. We should be able to manage our own affairs, manage our finances properly, so that we don't have to get back to them each time there's a problem and we need to get a bailout. So let's manage our finances well. The macroeconomy should be well set. Our exports, whatever it is that we're managing ought to be well done, so that we don't have to go back to the IMF again.
Okay.
In fact, if I should add this, last week there was a meeting in Accra, and this was about discussing the IMF and the Bretton Woods institutions and what they do for Africans. It appears we keep on going back and forth. And in effect, we don't get the help that we need. Most African countries are debt distressed. In spite of the fact that we're borrowing, we are not able to service our debts properly. So are we not marching backwards?
There are those who even assume that they've argued that your first president, who was an advocate for the black man is capable of doing it on his own and blah blah blah, he even tried IMF early days. So what is this? What is wrong if even latter governments that have not done as well as he did are going back? You still think we have what it takes to do things well and not go back to IMF as a country?
We have all that it takes to do things in country, look within. And it's not bad going to the IMF. But then for how long will we keep going back? So after this phase, let us make progress and look within. There is a lot within that we can fetch. Yes.
Are we aware of the specific standards or objectives that these guys in town will be reviewing? Do we know specifically what they are coming to do?
So they're looking at fiscal management.
Okay.
What we are doing with the fiscals. They are looking at monetary policy. How well is the Bank of Ghana tightening monetary policy in terms of keeping the tabs on inflation? We know that the BOJ is an inflation targeting institution. And so it's important to rein in inflation. And so these are things that we're going to look at. How well are we doing when it comes to inflation? You earn your salary and it doesn't take you far because inflation eats it up. So it's a major issue. How are we doing well with our exchange rates? It's very important. These are very key indicators that they will look at, they watch as we go forward. And then also our debt restructuring. We are done with the local one, DDEP. Now we have to do the external one. Recently we've heard that the IPPs are also getting to restructure their debt. Government debts with them. And so these are things that they're also watching, the external debt restructuring. We recall last week that the IMF boss indicated that we should not yield to arm twisting by the external creditors. That's key. But then we ought to be also careful. It's not about we dictating anyway. We owe.
Okay.
Yes. And so it should be more or less a question of dialogue.
Exactly. I mean,
we need to dialogue and make sure that they can restructure the debts. Then we can pay more, comfortably.
Okay. And then we are also told that William Ruto is in town.
Yes.
Continental free trade.
Exactly. And trade is everything. Trade and investment is everything. And when we talk about AFTA, there's a lot going on there that we need to address our minds to, especially Ghanaian businesses.
Okay.
Yes, we need to take advantage of that. We haven't gotten to the point where we can say that our businesses are taking full advantage of AFTA.
Okay.
There is more room. And with his visits, we are saying that the Secretariat's head will be meeting
Kelimene?
Yes, we'll be meeting the president of Kenya and we'll be addressing him about the development so far. And I believe Ghana would want to take advantage of this setting, and get to boost trade with Kenya.
Okay.
There's a mention of a single market.
Yeah, the single African market. Yeah.
We cannot stay out of that.
Okay.
Ours is to make sure that we get what is good in there for our own businesses. And so as this goes on, we shouldn't wait to be told to pace in,
Okay.
We ought to go in there and see what is good for our businesses. And with this, I wish we could draw in the business associations, AGI,
GNCCI.
Exactly.
Okay.
They must come in handy. When these stories are put out there, our expectation is that business associations will take advantage, and the local firms would also do their things well, packaging, everything that would sell your products, because we have a larger market. It is no more sitting in your corner and doing something.
No. Yeah. And you are also not competing even against your own people within the Africa space. You're competing against international brands.
Absolutely.
Because, for instance, recently, there was an event sometime, in fact, I think last year, where Wamkele and myself met at that event. It was Ghana-Zimbabwe project, and the Zimbabweans had come to town with some product. And so I was looking at the particular product that really caught my attention was cornflakes from Zimbabwe. And I was putting it side by side with Kellogg's, and I'm wondering, okay, so you are not actually competing against cornflakes made in Africa. You're actually competing against Kellogg's that has been doing this for hundreds of years. Yeah, so the competition is bigger now, and it's tougher.
So you see, we've attended exhibitions, we've met SMEs, you interact with them, and you tell them about the fact that there's a larger market coming up, and they seem to be afraid of that space. They want to remain in their small corner. That is not how to go it. That's not how to go about it. You need to brace the odds. And there's everything to take from there. And you ought to start at a point.
Okay.
Yes, there are people, very nice Ghanaian business who are doing things. You'll be surprised to know. There's a lot that they are doing out there that we think that should be put out there.
Yeah.
And they have this view that it would cost so much.
Yeah.
It would cost so much to put, I'm not ready. No, when are you going to get ready? So this session should come in handy for Ghanaian businesses and for everyone who thinks that he has a lot to offer when it comes to international trade and investment.
But do you know of any government policy that is specifically geared towards ensuring that Ghanaian businesses are taken advantage of after in the light of the fact that the Secretariat is sitting in Adaraka or Tudu?
There's a lot that the Ministry of Trade and Industry is involved in,
in
promoting Ghanaian businesses and making sure that businesses can take advantage of after. That ought to be well publicized. Yes.
Okay.
This must be publicized. It's when you go to the Ministry of Trade and Industry,
they are doing it, but then they are not.
There isn't much
communication around it.
It ought to be well publicized so business can take advantage. Now, if I'm a business and I need information about after, where do I go to?
Okay.
Yes. And we know that AFTA has a communications office.
Okay.
But if you don't know, you wouldn't be able to tell or as to where to go. So that's key.
One of the things I have found about the AFTA challenge is the fact that Africa still hasn't solved the intra-African movement yet. We've still not solved it. It's more difficult to bring goods from Namibia into Accra than to bring it from Zwanzu to Accra.
It's unfortunate, but I know of Borderless, a group or an NGO that has been working on this for so many years. They have had barriers, they have had challenges.
Okay.
And this had to do with barriers along the stretch.
Okay.
You meet so many barriers, but it's been touted that we're getting somewhere, but it appears the progress is slow. A lot must go in. The challenge also then is about the terrorism, because what they also say is that we need to be mindful of miscreants, who can take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, Somali pirates are still working in the streets.
Yes, you recall not too long ago, some tomato sellers, Ghanaian, complained about being attacked on the road. And so these are genuine concerns, but that should not mean that we cannot make progress when it comes to freeing our borders. Free movement of goods and services should not just be in name.
Yeah, must happen.
It should happen. And so those who are listening to us, policymakers, those at the helm of affairs, should take these things in their stride and make sure that we make progress. That's key.
You've met Wamkele and spoken to him. How does he strike you as somebody who is leading this continental free trade area?
To put it bluntly, he's a serious guy.
Yeah, that's my first impression as well.
He's a serious guy.
That's my very first impression of him.
So no wonder he's had a second term. And for me, before he leaves the space, Ghanaian businesses must get what they need to get.
Okay.
Yes, that's my focus.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Mr. Isaac Edu happens to be the business editor right here. Zed Multimedia, Zed 101.9 FM. Still Wednesday, so Wednesday is Science and Tech Wednesday. Let me repeat it one more time. We have Personal Development Mondays, Health and Wellness Tuesdays, Science and Tech Wednesdays, Arts and Culture Thursdays, Arts, Culture, and Tourism Thursdays, and then Business Roundtable Fridays. So please, I'll keep repeating it as long as we can. Yeah. Well, so today's Science and Tech, we'll be talking to Dr. Hamidou Abdel Fattah on the issues of science and tech. That would send us right into our science and tech conversation right around this time. Dr. Hamidou Abdel Fattah, very, very crucial that we have this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, I will be talking to Dr. Fatal. Let me raise Dr. Fatal on the line, and then we're going to science and tech conversation today. This is still Zed in the morning. Please, you can send us your WhatsApp via the line 0544-321019. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on X at ZFMGH, at ZFMGH. YouTube is at ZTVGH, and TikTok it's Z Multimedia. The website is zmultimedia.com. Go to the site and you can even listen to the show right there and then. This is still Z in the morning. This is still Z in the morning. Right up, coming through to you. Let also remind you that right about now, the Z show is on. Zed Fm is still up and doing. Enjoy the best shows on lifestyle, leisure, and business right here on Zed 101.9 FM. Tune into Zed 101.9 FM. Country Express with Tommy Anam Forsen. It comes on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Country Express with a man they call the legend, the king of country, Tommy Anam Forsen. Country Express. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also join us on the brighter side with NYA the brand, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Z 101.9 FM, 10 a.m. So right after the stop of the hour 10, NYA the brand comes up with the brighter side. You also want to remind you that yes, our Highway 1019, the drive that is super exciting with Kofi Dixon and Oforiwa comes your way 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. Highway 1019, Highway 1019. And then also Z Gospel Group with DDM every Sunday 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Tune in to Z 101.9 FM every Sunday 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. with DDM David Dakwamensan, Z Gospel Groove. Then Living Word comes your way 5:30 a.m. every Monday to Friday. Z FM brings you Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabil. Also on Saturdays, every Saturday at 8 a.m., we come your way with Professor Stephen Adai. And then on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., we come your way with the show called I Have a Story to Tell with Fritz Baffo. So yes, this and many more are the shows that are lined up for you. Science and Tech Wednesdays. Today we're talking to Dr. Hamidu Abdel Fattah, who is a lecturer at the Computer Science and Engineering Department of UMatt Takwa. His research interests are into data science and AI, artificial intelligence. He has a BSc from UMatt. He has a PhD from the University of South Australia. Dr. Hamidu Abdel Fattah is on the line with us today. Good morning, Doc.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Z in the morning. So, Doc, let's start from the very basics and ask, how do you assess the current state of science and technology in Ghana, particularly in the fields of software engineering, electronic engineering, AI, which is your field, and even data science? How do you assess the current state of science and tech in Ghana?
Yes, thank you for having me once again. With regards to the field of tech, I think Ghana is making some strides currently. The Vice President is making some efforts in our direction. This policy of digitalization is something that we all think when it comes into fruition fully, the Ghanaian economy is going to benefit tremendously from. But currently, what I can say about the state of our tech industry is that, well, we are improving, but not at the same rate at which many other developing economies are moving. Tech is evolving very, very, very fast, but we are not doing so. For instance, in the area of AI, data science, we are still many years behind the rest of the world because there's a lot of improvement in this area, yet we are yet to fully embrace the concept or the idea. In terms of software development and other aspects of engineering, I think that we are making strides, all right, but the buzzword AI and data science, which are hot areas nowadays, I'm not too sure if we are making significant strides in this area. This is where the attention needs to be on.
But what are the barriers to us not making the strides that we need to make? If the whole world is running, why are we crawling?
In fact, you rightly put it, we are actually crawling, and I can rightly perhaps attribute it to the fact that our course curricula are not structured to make us move in a manner in which we should be moving. If you take it from the basic school level, I think they are now incorporating the ideas of ICT in our primary education, which is a good thing to do. But it will surprise you to know that people still come to university nowadays and they have never even worked on the computer before. I teach a course, for instance, in the Introduction to Computing at the university level. And I sometimes it feels so sad that we should be teaching such a course, which is supposed to have been taught many years back at the primary educational level, and still yet we teach those same courses at the university level, which means when we are supposed to actually equipping people with skill to move the economy technologically, we are still teaching them the basics, which means our course curricula, first of all, do not really help us much. Besides that, I also think that our diverse ethnic and cultural backgrounds do not also help, because to propagate the ideas of tech and the world of AI and the rest, you need a common medium of communication. And because we are coming from different ethnic backgrounds, I think that the propagation is somehow stalling as a result of the fact that people come from different backgrounds. If you compare with people from the Eastern African countries, for instance, they are doing so well in these areas because they have a common language which is understood by almost every person within that region, that is Swahili. So it's very easy for them to communicate the concept or the ideas of these technological advancements to one another in this area. So I think ethnic diversity doesn't help much. And of course, we can also say that some of the barriers have to do with the fact that there's no investment in this area from the private sector. And to some extent, I can say government is doing well, but not to our expectation. We expect research labs in our various tertiary institutions equipped with the required resources that will enable us propagate this new gospel. So we are not able to do that to the fullest because we don't have the resources to do so. For instance, I teach a course in robotics. So it's something I love doing very well, but I do it on paper because I don't have the robotic manipulator, which is the robotic arm, to actually program and demonstrate to the students that it actually works in real life.
Okay.
So in fact, those shortcomings and challenges, if you like, have actually hindered progress in the area of tech and related fields.
There are those that have argued, Doc, that the lack of industries as well also hinders the development of science and tech and engineering in a country. What do you say about that?
Well, these industries do not just come out of the blue. They start from somewhere. Most of the big time tech industries or tech industries we have across the world started as startups.
Okay.
I'll give you a typical example. Let's take the example of Google. Let me use the example of WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a well-known messaging platform, renowned multi-billion tech company managing it. But I started in a gym. The whole idea was conceived in a gym where when somebody thought, well, they could create a simple application to, of course, put together a messaging platform so as to connect with friends and family here and there. And the person was able to conceive of that idea because the foundation was already laid. You couldn't just conceive of an idea like that and simply go behind a computer and start implementing it. So I earlier said our character is not structured right. This guy has the foundation and is able to do so easily because person is already equipped with the skills to do so. If you take Amazon, it's the same thing. If you take Apple today, it started in a garage. If you take Google, it's the same thing. In fact, Instagram, all the big time or the multi-million-dollar tech companies all started in the same manner. So we don't have to wait until somebody establishes that big company to perhaps maybe incentivize people to join the field, but we can start from the basic schools. We set up our labs over there. We source them enough to think in that direction. Then things to start working by themselves.
Okay.
So it all comes down to what government puts on the table for us, and of course, the government needs to do that in solidarity with the private sector. See how we can resource our educational sectors to think in a way that would improve the quality of life in the area of tech.
Okay, so you would believe that if government were to push the entrepreneurship agenda well enough, it would tie into the development of science and tech in the country?
Absolutely. That not entrepreneurship per se in isolation, but it should be tied to tech.
Okay, yeah. Entrepreneurship in the tech space.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. So government should implement policies that would help young graduates to put up startups, because this young graduates have some wonderful ideas over there. In fact, they sit on our shelves in the universities and they rot away. These guys do wonderful things, but because they don't get the motivation, sort of encouragement from a government by way of some form of support, not only government but of course from other stakeholders of the economy. Because they are not getting that kind of support, they tend to sort of relegate the idea as a state until perhaps they are presented with better opportunities. That's why you see people traveling all over the place into the Western world so as to be able to participate in some of these evolving or emerging tech areas.
Okay, but students are still producing theses and dissertation reports day by day, and they are still piling up on the shelves. What is the role of both government, academia, private sector? Why hasn't that thing happened well enough over the years? And every time we're still saying, listen, the bright ideas are on the shelves in the schools. What is supposed to happen which is not happening yet?
Well, most of those wonderful ideas gathering dust from the shelves were actually originated by students. All we need is to identify very good ones, and government in partnership with academia as well as the private sector identify some very good ones that can drive our economy, and then we try to implement, develop them fully, and deploy them. Let us see them in action. That would, in actual fact, encourage those who would come afterwards to think in line with that, because they obviously know that they are going to get some support in that direction. Therefore, they will feel encouraged to do more. So I think it all starts with that kind of partnership. If I'll refer you to the Bell's Lab in the United States. It's well funded by the United States government. And this is where most of the inventions are done. Most of the tech inventions or milestones that have been realized in the tech sphere actually came out of that particular lab. You can name it. See, so the government making conscious effort to resource some of these labs which are affiliated to the universities where some of these things happen in real life would encourage the students to pick up projects that are realistic enough, that will not sit on the shelf, that can be prototyped and of course eventually developed into fully fledged tangibles or deliverables that would help improve our economy. That is the way we need to think. I think, yes, by allowing us to just write our thesis or asking students to write thesis as a requirement for them to graduate, it's not enough. But yes, we can also, I think that the universities can also implement policies to identify areas where we think that students can pick up project ideas to develop them. And when you pick projects in these areas, they should naturally expect some support from the institutions, the government, and other stakeholders around the place. It is only then that we can actually develop. Most of these multi-million-dollar tech companies started in a similar manner. They have some support in the same way. IBM is a well-known company in AI, very, very solid in this area. And of course, it didn't come out of the blue, but of course, they have an AI tool over the DeepMind, I think. And this was actually started by university graduates. So it started with the university graduates working on a startup project, and that startup project got a lot of financial investment, $100,000 to start with, and to encourage more of the inventions that we are seeing currently today in the field of tech, especially in the area of artificial intelligence. That's just an example, and there are many more we can list.
Okay.
But we can always say that we just need government support and private sector participation in collaboration with academia.
Okay. So there are two schools of thought that, and one you've mentioned it, that some of the biggest tech firms now started as startups in rooms, garages, bedrooms, and all that. But then there's also those who say that, listen, government needs to invest in infrastructure to ensure that the tech space also expands. Of course, the two are not mutually exclusive, but it means that if we were serious about tech, wouldn't tech grow without government necessarily investing in infrastructure? Or the infrastructure must also be there? Or what kinds of infrastructure are we looking at?
Yes, yes, of course, they are not exclusive. They work hand in hand. When an infrastructure is there, it actually hastens our progress. But if it is not there, if we are not financially sound enough to put out the kind of infrastructure that is needed to develop the tech space, then of course we can rely on the startups. But we need to support that. That is the whole idea. But before we even get to that level, the foundation must be solid. So we should look at it from the basic school level, where we have labs, where we have equipment to actually demonstrate to people at that level, students at that level, that this is what they should expect in future. To go to the second cycle institution, they should be improved. Our curriculum is structured in such a way that we remove some of the unnecessary or let me say obsolete courses that do not necessarily contribute to progress or development in the field of tech and other areas, and rather bring in courses to help shape our mindset or our thinking. I think that is how I would respond to that one.
Okay, so now let's get into your field of expertise, the AI space, software engineering, and all that. What are the latest or emerging trends in those areas that excite you and that you think Ghana should pay attention to?
Oh, there's so much happening, and every day something new happens in that sphere. Recently, about a few weeks ago, we heard about Elon Musk's first case of the Neuralink technology. The Neuralink tech is just a chip implant in the brain, which essentially helps us control things without necessarily having physical interactions with them. So the test client or patient was able to control the cursor on the screen of the computer by just merely thinking about it, and it's happening. This is very, very new currently, and it's something we should pay attention to. That is because soon enough, that is going to boom. If it's able to succeed, it's going to go. And where does that lead us to? Should be thinking in that direction. I think currently the government is thinking of digitizing the economy, which is a good thing. I think the government is making so much effort in that direction. We have improved a lot. But of course, there's so much more in the field of tech, in the field of AI, and we should also align our way of education with some of these technologies. For instance, we've heard about the emergence of ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has totally transformed the way students learn nowadays. It's going to get to a time that very soon, in the nearest future, students might not need to necessarily go for lectures in order to study. They can just sit in the comfort of their rooms, and they don't even need lectures to study any longer, because everything can be done with just a handheld device. And that is a trend that is emerging currently. When you ask a student what is if the student is able to deal with a certain assignment, the student tells you, "Oh, ChatGPT will do it for him or her." And we don't have to sweat. We have to embrace it, because it is a technology that has come to stay. We can't do anything about it. And I think the government has to look at some of these emerging threats and see how we can take advantage of the opportunities they present us in order to improve and drive our economy faster than it is moving currently.
Dr. Abdel Fattah happens to be a lecturer at the Computer Science and Engineering Department of University Mines and Tech, Takwa UMAT, like we say, Dr. Hamidou Abdel Fattah. Doc, you mentioned the ChatGPT issue. Let me ask the question. Quite recently, there was a video on social media where a lecturer was really furious at a student who was using ChatGPT to solve a problem or to do an assignment. And I have a daughter who is in Form 3, and I see her doing a lot of ChatGPT, and you are saying it is not going away anytime soon. How are you handling assignments that your students are bringing where you know they use ChatGPT? What do you do? How are they supposed to work with ChatGPT without also losing their uniqueness or without losing their ability to learn?
Well, first, I'll maybe have to refer back to the essence of tech in the first place. Tech is supposed to improve the quality of life by applying knowledge acquired from science and the related fields. So if ChatGPT brings some improvement into our lives, so that is of course the purpose of tech. We shouldn't get furious over it, because somebody is not able, if somebody doesn't use the mind to do certain things because the person has a tool that is able to do it for him easier, that shouldn't be a problem. Because of course, that's what tech is meant for. So in my case, as far as my assignments are concerned, to test whether the students really understand what I teach or not, I know how ChatGPT handles questions. I know how how to frame the questions in order to feed ChatGPT for me to get the corresponding responses. So I look at it and find a question different, so that ChatGPT, even though would attempt it, might somehow mislead the student, because it's not 100% accurate. So I give them that caveat that if you rely on it so much, it's not going to give you proper responses because of the nature of the question, the way you frame the question. Because you have to be you also have to be at par with the pace of tech. So you have to understand how things work and maybe adopt strategies that would improve. But of course, like I said, this is just a short-term solution. In future, we might not need students necessarily to learn, because they don't need to learn any longer if there are resources to do whatever they should do and produce results. All we need are the results. We don't need a physical strength in terms of what your brains can do in order to get us results. So if ChatGPT is able to do it for us, of course we need to embrace it. And so it's not going away soon. It's never going to go away. It's only going to get better, and we are only going to get different versions or improved versions of those technologies. So we have to accept it and redesign our curricula to conform to this current state of affairs. It is only then that we can actually keep pace with the rest of the world.
But Dr. Abdel Fattah, doesn't that worry you that a time is coming when students wouldn't have to learn? What would they then do?
it's called the inevitable. You can't do anything about it. There are things you just can't do anything about. That is where the world is moving currently. Since the emergence of ChatGPT, we've seen some other variations of the same application being deployed in some countries, to the extent that they've leveraged the technology in driverless cars nowadays to perform various features. We are using them everywhere. We can leverage the same technology in the field of medicine. If the doctor cannot maybe give a prognosis or cannot diagnose an ailment of a patient accurately, the doctor can just treat the same set of symptoms with ChatGPT. If ChatGPT is able to produce the results for the doctor has done his job. That is where we are going. So we don't need to stress ourselves too much. Of course, what our machines meant for, they are meant to help us improve upon the quality of our lives while saving a lot of energy. And here we are saving a lot of brain energy. That is how I see it.
Interesting. So let me also find out from you, being in the computer science and engineering space over the period, have you come across Ghanaian computer science engineers who are doing amazing stuff, and who are some of these people, if you've ever come across, or they are all the interesting things are happening outside of our remit?
Unfortunately, so outside of the country, yes, we have Ghanaians who are doing so well, and tops.
Hello, Doc. Oh, I think the line with Dr. Abdel Fattah dropped. We've been talking to Dr. Hamidou Abdel Fattah, who is a lecturer at the Computer Science and Engineering Department of UMass Takwa. We've been sharing our minds on all things science and tech. Doc.
Hello.
Yes, Doc. Yes, we the line dropped for a minute. Thanks for staying on the line. Yes, you were. I was asking about the Ghanaianness of the latest inventions and stuff. Whether Ghanaians are doing well, and you said they were doing well outside, but what about inside? Do you know any Ghanaian businesses that are doing well here?
Yes, when you talk of the business sphere, I know a few that are doing well. I think Hatel so far has done so much and is doing so well in terms of the tech space. They've taken advantage of the vacuum that exists in that area and are occupying it aggressively, casting across every aspect of tech, be it AI, be it software engineering, be it whatever it is. They render services in this area by really looking at the opportunities that are found in this. And for me, I think they've done so well, judging from where they are coming. And of course, like I said, I mentioned earlier that it's all about startups. The hacker was started by a tech graduate, and of course, started small, but now has been listed. I believe, in fact, my last interactions with them suggest that they've been listed on the New York Stock Exchange or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Which means that they have made significant strides in that area. But Hacker is just one. Amalitek is doing quite well also. Okay. And there are a few other startups coming up, but they are not as rigorous and as aggressive as we would expect them. Of course, Hacker stands out amongst the lot that I have come across.
Oh, okay.
But they are not as aggressive as we would expect them to be.
Okay. There is another angle I want us to take this conversation, if you permit me. There's always the talk of women and girls around the world being underrepresented in science, tech, and engineering and math, STEM-related professions, and even at the adolescent stage, they say that the levels are even lower. Fewer girls are going into the space. At the tertiary where you sit, then it would affect you, wouldn't it? Because if there are fewer down there, they would also cascade into fewer up there. Is it true that less ladies are into the space, and why is this?
Yes, indeed, that is the case. But I think that it all comes down to this phobia of the STEM field. So I don't know if from inception somehow the female gender has been made to understand that it is not an area for them. But a few that venture into it, some of them do so is very, very, very well. And I think that we can governments and institutions can also begin to look at that area very closely. My institution is doing very well in that area, in the sense that there's a policy of gender mainstreaming, where some quota of admission is naturally given to women every year. I think 30% of the admission is automatically the female gender, and that should be met as part of the admissions policies the university has. That is just to encourage more women in this field of study.
Okay.
Yes. But of course, Ghana is not exclusive in that area. I think it's
a global thing.
A global problem. Yes.
Okay. I know also that within the schools these days they are doing they are setting up hubs, and I know UMAT has a hub. How is that space performing in terms of the hubs, the entrepreneurship and innovation hubs within there? What is UMAT's own about, and how well is it doing?
UMAT is doing well in that area also. Since its inception, many tech ideas have emerged. One in particular, recently, I think they are trying it in what's its name, Suffolk and Tankers vehicles.
Okay.
Yes. And then, in fact, that is the thing. This gender mainstreaming thing leading to female students being admitted. Two ladies from our department actually came up with that idea.
Wow.
Of incorporating alcohol detectors and alcohol detectors in vehicles, so that when you take alcohol, the car doesn't start. You can't even drive it in the first place. And Suffolk and Tanker is actually trying that technology in some of its vehicles.
Impressive.
It works well. If I would try the technology on campus, it's worked, and we are seeing how we can commercialize it. So that is just one of the many inventions that have come up as a result of the tech hub that we have on campus. And I think we are doing very well in that regard.
Wow, that's impressive. I met someone from that hub in a meeting recently, and I was quite impressed with what you're doing over there. Thank you so much, Doc. Any final words on the space of science and tech for the whole Ghana and our listeners?
Yes, my final words is I think we should just embrace tech. Whether we like it or not, is the future of humanity. Many of the emerging techs have come to stay. They are not going away anytime soon. So we should learn to rather take advantage of all the opportunities that it presents to us, and utilize them to improve upon the quality of life. Government should also come on board, as well as the private sector, to see how they can resource educational institutions to come up with tech ideas that would improve our economy. Of course, I know that the tech industry out there in the Western world, keep pushing Africans. In fact, now they mostly rely on Africans for most of their coding, most of their programming and implementation of their systems. And they do it remotely. They call it a remote job. It's also some subtle way of brain draining Africa. But rather, let's identify some of these good guys, some of these smart guys, put them in a corner somewhere, and get them to do things for us by taking advantage of the current state of technology globally.
Thank you so much. Listeners, that's been Dr. Hamidou Abdel Fattah, who happens to be a lecturer at the Computer Science and Engineering Department of UMAT Takwa. He's been sharing his thoughts on the science and tech. And he said, listen, let's invest in that area. It has come to stay. Coming up right after, still within the science and tech Wednesday, Abdullah Saka is here with tech updates right after this.
Zed
again tomorrow, people.
Zed 101.9 FM.